Fishermen along Japan's eastern coast have known for centuries to avoid a particular stretch of the Pacific. They call it Mano Umi, the Sea of the Devil. The zone lies roughly between Miyake Island, Guam, and the eastern tip of Taiwan, a vast expanse where the Philippine Sea meets the Pacific proper. The disappearances began appearing in official records in the early 1800s, but local legend pushes the phenomenon back centuries further. By the early 20th century, the Japanese Navy had begun tracking the losses. Between 1900 and 1950, at least 70 fishing boats, cargo ships, and small military vessels vanished in the region. Most went down without distress calls. Then came the year that forced the government's hand. In 1952, 5 military vessels disappeared in the span of 8 months, all within the same approximate coordinates. The Kayo Maru no 5 was that research vessel. It departed Tokyo on September 24, 1952, with 9 scientists and a crew of 22. Their mission, to study unusual magnetic readings and volcanic activity beneath the Devil's Sea. For the first 48 hours, regular radio reports came back to the mainland. The scientists confirmed erratic compass behavior as they neared the center of the triangle. The Japanese Coast Guard launched the largest search operation in its history. 12 ships and 4 aircraft combed a search grid covering 8,000 square miles. 3 months later, a commercial fishing trawler operating 200 miles south of the last known position reported snagging something in its nets. In 1952 alone, 5 Japanese military vessels disappeared without explanation in these waters. The discovery only deepened the mystery. How had wreckage traveled 200 miles from the ship's last position? What force could generate heat intense enough to warp steel in the middle of the ocean? Within weeks, a second fishing crew found more debris. This time, pieces of scientific equipment and a waterproof case containing research notes. The Japanese government convened an emergency maritime board to review every disappearance in the Devil's Sea over the previous 50 years. The data revealed a pattern. Most vanishings occurred during periods of increased seismic activity in the region. The Bayanes Rocks sit atop one of the Pacific's most volatile tectonic boundaries, the junction where the Pacific Plate grinds beneath the Philippine Sea Plate at a rate of 3 inches per year. Survivors from ships that escaped the Devil's Sea described phenomena that align with underwater eruptions. Sudden violent boiling of the sea surface, clouds of steam rising from the water, waves that appeared without wind. But volcanic activity alone couldn't explain every disappearance. Some ships vanished during periods of complete seismic quiet. Others were found capsized with no damage to their hulls, as if something had simply flipped them over. In 1955, 3 years after the Kayo Maru disaster, the Japanese government took unprecedented action. They officially designated the Devil's Sea as a danger zone and issued advisories warning all vessels to avoid the area. The declaration did little to stop the losses. Between 1955 and 1980, another 40 vessels vanished in the triangle. Most were fishing boats that ignored the warnings, drawn by the region's rich tuna populations. As technology advanced, scientists proposed new theories. Some pointed to methane hydrate deposits on the seafloor, pockets of frozen gas that can suddenly release and create zones of frothing water with dramatically reduced buoyancy. Fishing boat, no. 5 Tokachi Maru vanishes with 22 crew cargo vessel Kayo Maru no. 3 disappears research ship Kayo Maru no. 5 lost with scientists. Japanese government declares zone hazardous. Others focused on the magnetic anomalies. The Devil's Sea sits above a region where Earth's magnetic field exhibits wild fluctuations, variances of up to 15 degrees within a few miles. Yet another theory emerged from the realm of atmospheric science: microbursts. Intense downdrafts of air that can generate winds exceeding 100 miles per hour in a localized area. But for every scientific explanation, there remained cases that defied logic. In 1972, a Japanese oil tanker radioed that its engines had stopped and all electrical systems had failed simultaneously while crossing the triangle. The tanker's instruments had recorded a massive electromagnetic pulse during the incident, readings that shouldn't be possible in nature without a nuclear detonation or a direct lightning strike. In 1989, the wreckage of a fishing vessel that vanished in 1981 was discovered by a deep-sea survey team. Ends of collision, no breach, no buckling from water pressure. The crew quarters were empty, the galley still set for a meal that was never finished. The survey team's logs recorded something else, a faint magnetic signature emanating from the wreck itself, pulsing at irregular intervals. For decades, scientists have measured the Devil's Sea's magnetic field, and the readings defy easy explanation. In certain pockets of the zone, magnetic intensity spikes to 8 times the surrounding ocean's strength. Radio transmissions cut out mid-sentence. GPS signals drift off course by miles. Some researchers point to the seafloor itself. The Devil's Sea sits atop a highly active volcanic ridge where tectonic plates grind against each other and magma chambers churn beneath thin oceanic crust. More than 700 vessels have vanished in the Devil's Sea, yet not a single body has ever been recovered from the depths. Others suggest methane hydrates, frozen pockets of gas trapped in the sediment, that can erupt without warning. When released, the methane bubbles up in massive plumes, reducing the water's density and making it impossible for a ship to stay afloat. But methane doesn't explain the magnetism. It doesn't explain the radio silence, the frozen compasses, the crews who vanish entirely. And it certainly doesn't explain what happened to the Kyomaru's scientists in 1952. The ship's mission had been to study the magnetic anomalies firsthand, to chart the disturbances and bring back data. 31 men, geologists, oceanographers, a meteorologist, sailed into the heart of the zone on a clear September morning. A rescue operation scoured the area for 2 weeks. They found no wreckage, no debris, no life rafts, not a scrap of the Kyomaru's hull, not a single piece of equipment. 3 years later, in 1955, the Japanese government took an unprecedented step. They officially declared the Devil's Sea a danger zone and advised all vessels to avoid it. The warning did little to stop the losses. In 1957, a cargo ship carrying steel vanished. In 1963, a trawler with 12 crew. In 1971, another freighter. Some captains who sailed through the zone and survived describe a sensation of profound unease, an animal instinct screaming to turn back. In Japanese folklore, the region has long been considered cursed. Fishermen spoke of phantom ships, vessels seen sailing with no crew, their decks empty, their lights burning. Modern satellite surveillance has added a new layer to the mystery. High-resolution imaging occasionally captures brief, bright flashes of light beneath the water's surface, flashes that don't match any known volcanic or bioluminescent activity. The wreckage sat 4,000 feet down, far deeper than the ship's hull could have survived intact. Some theorists propose the flashes are electrical discharges caused by seismic stress, piezoelectric currents generated as tectonic plates shift. Others suggest localized plasma formations, pockets of ionized gas that could interfere with a ship's systems and disorient its crew. The most unsettling possibility is that the Devil's Sea is not one phenomenon, but several, overlapping in a deadly convergence. In 2004, a Japanese submarine conducted a classified survey of the zone's deepest trenches. Are they the hulls of lost ships, crushed and scattered across the abyss? Or something else? Wreckage from an era before records were kept? Evidence of disasters long forgotten? The submarine's crew refused to speculate. Today, commercial shipping routes skirt the Devil's Sea's edges. GPS systems flag the zone with advisory warnings. Yet fishing boats still venture in, drawn by the rich waters, and occasionally one fails to return. The families of the Kyomaru's crew gather each September at a memorial in Tokyo. They light candles, place flowers, and speak the names of men who were never found. Others think the men discovered something the ocean didn't want revealed, a truth buried in the magnetic storms and the darkness, and that the sea silenced them for it. Perhaps we'll never know. Perhaps that's the way it should be. The Devil's Sea endures, indifferent and patient. It holds the answers to 100 vanishings, buried under fathoms of cold water and silence. And it waits, as it always has, for the next ship to test its depths. Some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Some waters are not meant to be crossed.